Hey, what's up, folks? Today is August 23rd, 2025. I've got a video coming for you. I haven't made it quite yet. I sat down to work on the video, and it actually took me, I'm about an hour and 3/4 into it right now. And like I said, I learned a lot along the way, and I want to share it with you, but I didn't want to give you the hour 45-minute version. I want to give you a more condensed version. Now, would you have learned a lot on the hour 45-minute version? Yes, how to be patient, but there were a lot of nuggets that I found out along the way. I'll try to give you as many of them as I can as I give you a condensed version, but I'm not going to do that right now. I've got to take care of some other business, and then I will come back and do it. But here is the short. Here's the long and short of it. You see all these objects here? These objects here, we're doing two things, okay? So here's my code over here. You see some things have been commented out. That's because, again, this was learning along the way, and a lot of learning at that. Let me try to give you the nuggets of a few of the things I learned right away. And then that way, if I forget to put them in the newer video, then you at least have seen it. And you know what? That's a good way for me to do these videos. I'll do a part one, part two. All right, so what we got here essentially is when I draw a box, it shows up on this chart. Okay, so this was a request made by one of the Discord members about being able to create rectangles on one chart and then them showing up on another chart. And not only them showing up on another chart, but us being able to change the time frame and them still showing up. So the one thing that I found about them still showing up is when you change there's a specific way I had to do this. The way I had to do this was I had to, when these objects are created, they are saved to a global dictionary. They're saved to a global dictionary. And they're saved to a global dictionary by doing a few things. So one is we had to create a date time point. So when we have an object added to our drawing objects collection on your chart, every time you draw an object, it's added to the drawing objects collection. Now, the problem with the receiver over here is that even though these objects were being drawn, they weren't added. I guess they were added to the collection, but every time you restarted the script, i.e. changing the time frame, it would remove that script and rerun that script. So if that script didn't have the object stored, then it wouldn't redraw it. And that kind of makes sense, because when you remove a script, or if you need to rerun the script, then you don't want all the nonsense that you had from the script prior. All right, so here we go. Going back to the beginning. Whenever we draw an object on the sender, when we draw an object, it's saved to the drawing objects collection. But whenever that object is added, we go through a process with our method event handler where we pull out the information from the object, from the rectangle. Now we're only doing rectangles here. All right, so what we're doing is we're taking the parameter, the arguments from the rectangle, and I thought that you could just say, hey, let me get the added object points of the arguments and just either make that to a string. Well, if you take that to a string, then it says like date time colon August 23rd 2020 and then it says comma price colon. So it has a lot of information, which is good visually, but it's not what you need to recreate a date time point. So in order to recreate the date time point, you have to go out and you have to take the points. Like here, you have to take the points and assign the points as type date time point to your date time point. Okay, so you gotta use the arguments. You gotta grab each point as a date time point and assign it to your date time point object. I have a start and I have an end. Okay, now I thought that you could just do away with this. Well, no, I didn't think that you could do away with this. I thought that you could you at least had to instantiate the date time point, and I just did create with an empty parentheses. You can't instantiate it with an empty parentheses, and I learned that when you do this, when you hit that first colon, you see that it's calling for information here. But when it's calling for information there, that means that you have to put something there. A lot of times there are different objects where the function or the method allows you to just use an empty parentheses. This does not allow you to do that. It says that you have to put something there. So I was getting errors that said overloaded method, and that was the error, was that the method was overloaded. Now, I thought that an overloaded method meant that there was too much stuff in the method. And apparently, overloaded method just means that you don't have the right stuff in the method. It could be too few arguments, too many arguments. It could be the wrong parameters, the wrong arguments in the methods, right? So if it's calling for a string and a numeric, and you put a numeric and a numeric, then that's also going to be overloaded. So it's just saying that something is wrong with the arguments that you have in your method. It could be too many, too few, wrong type. So just look back over that. Another issue that I was having is the errors that were showing up down here. If you click on them, it would just go to some random place in the code. It wouldn't go exactly to where your error was, which a lot of the times it will go exactly to it, but I was having all kinds of trouble today. I really had to locate and be a detective to try to figure out where these issues were. All right, so we talked about making your date time point a actual date time point from your arguments, assigning it to your date time point, and then using the date time point information, and then pulling the date time of the bar and the date and the price of the date time point. Okay, and you use that to we're making that as a string, and that is being saved to a key in our global dictionary. Now when we come over to the receive end, now we're receiving this key whenever an item is added to the global dictionary. We come to here, item added, and we're taking not the key, but just the value of whatever was added to the global dictionary. Because remember, it was a string, and it was a string that had first it had the date time bar of the first point, price of the first point, date time bar of the second point, price of the second point, in a string, in a list, right? In a string. All right, and so then we're using a token list, and we're assigning that list, right? Because again, when an item is added, we're taking that string and we're sending it to addRex. That string, now we're going to break that string down using the token list. So we're going to add that string to the token list, and then we're going to say, all right, give me the first date time, and then we're taking that date time using a string to date time. Now this is another thing that I learned. I thought the string to date time would give me a date time object. It doesn't. This gives you a date time in the EX version, right? In the EX version. It doesn't give you a date time object, right? So we need to create our date time point. We need a date time object. So date time object is our DTS and our DTE. So to create our date time now here is a perfect example where you can use an empty parentheses to use the create method for a date time object, but you couldn't do it with a date time point, right? Date time point, you had to put something in it. Okay, so we're back to our date time object. We're creating that with the empty parentheses, and now we're further clarifying that this date time object of EX format is going to be this string that was in this token list. So string to date time gives us an EX, I think is a double version of our date time. Now we can take that double version, that EX, and like I said, clarify that this date time point, this date time object is equal to this date time EX, which we got from this string. We do that with both of them. And then now we have the object that has been confirmed, instantiated, and clarified. So we take that object, we put it there, and then we take this string of the price, and now we can just do string to number, right? And now we have a number for our price. Date time point has got to have a date time bar and a price. Okay. Let's see. Now that we've got these two date time objects clarified and assigned and updated, now we're just going to do a rectangle with our first date time, second date time, lock the rectangle, make sure the rectangle persists since we're working on this possibly intra-bar and within a method. And now we're going to add the rectangle to our chart. Now, that works when you add an item, right? It works when you add an item. But what's working when you restart the chart or when you go to a different time frame is this here. Once at the beginning of the chart, we're going to draw the objects. Now remember, everything that we've been adding here, it came from the global dictionary. So the global dictionary already has all these objects saved, right? So once at the beginning of the chart, when we go to draw objects, we're just going to go through all the objects that are in the global dictionary from the count down to 0 through a loop, and we're going to use the same method, add recs. Now this time, we just need to find the string that is in the global dictionary at each index. Now, how do we get the string at each index? Well, as we go through the loop, we just say, hey, the 0 index key, we got to look at the keys, because in order to call from the dictionary, you need to put a key in. So, hey, the first key in the global dictionary, as a string, whatever that value is as a string, give it to me. And when I get it, I'm going to send it to add rectangles, add recs. And now that I have that string here, I just go through that same process I just told you about. And it recreates the rectangle and draws it, adds it to the chart. Cool, right? You know what? This has been 13 minutes me just telling you about it. Imagine how long it takes to code it, right? All right, so I hope you guys got something out of this. Again, I am your host of Success Over Stress. By all means, like, subscribe to the content, share it with somebody who you love. I will be doing another one of these videos. I don't know how much I'm going to narrate it because I literally just narrated now, but I will probably do a start to finish of how I program this, and I'll probably speed it up or something like that. Like I said, I don't know if I'll narrate it, but what I'll do is once I get done with that, I will repost it. I'll probably add a few more nuggets to it just to so maybe we will do 2 different types, right? So we'll do the trend line or the horizontal line as well. But also one other thing that we need to put on here somehow, and I need to think about this, is we need to have some way that when we move this, it moves this other one, right? You can't, like I said, you can't move these because these are just duplicated from the other chart. And then the other question is, do you want it to have a 2-way conversation? If you want it to be 2-way where you can move this one or move that one and the other one will move, it's obviously getting more complex there, but because then we need to find the point here we need to compare it against what's in the global dictionary and then change what's in the global dictionary. But then at that point, they can't be locked, right? So, and then the other thing is if we delete this one here, if we delete the one on the main chart, it doesn't delete over here because this is stagnant at this point. So we need to, if we have an item moved or an item deleted, we need to cross-reference this against the global dictionary and then update the global dictionary. And once the global dictionary is updated, then we need to go to the other script and we need to say, hey, what was changed? Find the object that correlates to what was changed and change that too. You know, so it can get very complicated, but that is definitely advanced. And like I said, I'll put some of it up on YouTube for you guys to see, and then the rest of it, you have to join the Discord. You have to join the Discord. Contribute to the community, ask questions, something. But I realize that everybody is interested in a little bit of something. Not everybody wants everything, and we're kind of getting into the everything here. Like this is some higher level stuff, dealing with object-oriented easy language. And like I said, I've been messing with it for 2 or 3 years now. I have to look back, 2 or 3 years now at least. And this even like really worked me. But you're dealing with date time. Object-oriented easy language, the objects is complicated or more complicated in itself. And now you're also dealing with date time, which everybody knows date time stuff is a booger. We threw in some token lists, global dictionaries. Yeah. So anyway, guys, hope you got something out of it. Again, it's been fun for me, but I'm out to enjoy my Saturday. All right, guys, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.